Hello and welcome to the Joygasm Effect. And today I'm sharing Sacred Space with Sabrina Lynn. Welcome, Sabrina.
Oh, thank you so much, Kerrie, for having me. It's wonderful to just
Oh,
be with you again.
yes. And for those that don't know Sabrina, but Sabrina is a leader in women and men's empowerment and the founder of Rewilding for Women, which is doing great stuff
Woohoo.
in the world of women's empowerment, Sabrina. So just tell us a little bit about what is Rewilding for Women.
Yeah, so it might be best to explain it, Kerrie, maybe from a story perspective, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Because sometimes when I start to share what it is, it gets a little bit esoteric-y and tough to explain. So if you're okay for me to share a story in
Of
a story
course.
fashion,
Yep.
thank you. So I grew up in a very kind of masculine way, for lack of a better word, in the US, very Western world culture where I was I was really taught to be logical in my mind, to accomplish things, to do really well in school, to be, do. And what I wasn't doing is I wasn't being, I wasn't opening up to my feminine. I wasn't ever told what is this intrinsic, innate feminine wisdom and power that we have within us. And so, kind of through a variety of unfolding and a really wild ride, I came into the deeper wisdom of self, which led me to my authentic heart space, my authentic um, way of being in the world, opened me up to this whole other side of self. And so when this happened for me, um, it kind of unfolded into how on earth can I share this with other women who feel that there's more to self, feel that there's more to their soul essence or their soul's purpose or even their sexual expression, knowing that there's more to love, there's more to intimacy, there's just more to self, but maybe not necessarily knowing how do I get there? How do I peel back these layers? And that's kind of what rewilding is about, is these practices, these tantric practices, these shamanic practices that take us beyond our monkey mind, beyond the surface level, into deeper parts of self to really open up to our fullness. Does that kind of help?
Yes, I think so. And I know we initially connected in January for one of your one day workshops.
Yes.
And I know for me, when I approach attending a workshop or stepping out into what I call is the spiritual community, it's always that buyer beware thing, right? So,
Yes.
and I know having been a practitioner in the community myself, I'm always very, I tend to overthink it and I tend to do my due diligence and, seek out who the practitioner is and, just check out everything. And I have to say that when I came to your workshop, I didn't do any of that. It was really just, some stuff that I saw. I saw on my Facebook feed that you were doing this one day workshop and, I just sort of was up, a couple of hours drive and I was like, yes, I'm just going to go do this. And it just doesn't matter, it doesn't matter any of that. What is it? It's a one day workshop. I just want to go and feel it and see what it's about. And one of the things that I took away from spending the day with you in your workshop was that it was all about how you feel. It's,
Yeah.
that there's a real joy. Like you were taking us through meditations and drumming that really had us coming into our body and really feeling that. And I did walk away saying to my friends, I'm sure there were women in there having orgasms. you know. But what I've taken from it, besides the fact that I could really see where my evolution was in the rewilding through the goddesses, besides that, I really took away the whole thing about just live life more from that perspective of it's about how you feel. Don't overthink everything. Just come into the joy, the sparks of joy that speak within your body. And I have to say, certainly like in the last little while, it's really been very prevalent and paid a lot of dividends for me personally, you know. So yeah, would you say that that's something that you want women to take away from your workshops?
Oh, this is music to my ears, Kerrie, and it's such a great tangible example of the feminine, right? Everything that you're sharing, from the way that you came to the workshop, right? It's this feeling, it's that intuition, right? So part of the feminine gift and the feminine awakening in all of us is the intuitive knowing. I don't know how I know it, but I know it, or I feel it, right? It's so many women come to Rewilding and they're just like, I don't know why I'm here or what I'm here for, but it's calling to me. It sings to me. It's calling to me. I can feel something happening. And that's the feminine. So you explaining your story is just, that's it. It's such a great, and it's so nice to hear somebody speak in that way. That's it. That's the feminine. That's part of the feminine nature, is being in our bodies, is opening to our body's wisdom, is opening up to our intuitive gifts and living from that place, not to disregard the mind or the logical aspects or the more masculine, because it's this dance between the both. And so that's really the essence of Rewilding, is it's the all. It's the opening to all of my masculine essence and all of my feminine essence. And how do they dance in the world? Because that's where the magic, that's where the magic is at.
And that magic just starts with that delicious, gorgeous feeling that's within you. You know, it's just when they come into that balance and they do start dancing, it just, I don't know, it's hard to put into words how it feels, but it feels good.
Yes. Oh, yes. And then when the inner dance happens and those energies are working and they're dancing and they're open and they're moving, it feels amazing. That's our bliss, that's our joy. But on a very tangible physical level, that's when things in our world start to change. That's when we can create from an authentic place. That's when manifesting happens, where we can bring our dreams into reality because we have both of them dancing. And that's when relationships change. That's when sex changes. That's when we are able to open up to these orgasmic states, which you kind of meant, these big, hours long, full body orgasmic states, because it's all dancing. So yes, the inner feeling. But when the inner stuff shifts, as you know, it's kind of the as above, so below, as within, so without, right? Yeah. Yes. So, perfect explanation. Beautiful. I love your words.
Yes, it's very exciting, and you're right, it is very intuitive. So I guess, but it's sometimes even more simpler than that, isn't it? Because it's really just about the authentic nature and just living from that space of this makes me feel good, this is my truth.
That's it.
Yes.
It's the trusting that. And I see a lot in my work as little ones, we weren't taught to trust that. We weren't taught to follow that. And so a lot of us have pushed that intuitive nature, that deep wisdom. We've pushed that ability down, and we've almost shut that line off. It's always there, right? You probably see it in your work as well, right?
Yes.
We get the hit. The hit comes instantly. But then the mind kicks in and talks us out of it. So how many, for those who are listening, it's how many times have you gotten the hit, but you didn't trust it? And then all hell kind of broke loose because we didn't trust it. And so that's a lot of also what rewilding in these practices, so these meditative practices, these feeling practices, these opening up to the feminine wisdom within, it strengthens that intuition. One, it opens us up to these gifts that we have, the gift of clairvoyance or the gift of knowing or clairsentient, all of that. And it just strengthens that within us so that we can come from this place of deep wisdom, this deep knowing. Our sixth sense is open, it's operating, and we can act from that place.
So if there was someone watching, someone listening to us talking and sharing, and they're really wanting to connect to the energy within them that we're talking about, so the divine feminine, and really balancing that with the masculine, what would you say would be a really good, simple daily practice that they could use or do?
Yeah, beautiful. So this might sound a little bit so simple. This is so simple. But it's one of the quickest ways that we can step into our feminine, because feminine is the body. Feminine is feeling. Feminine isn't the mind. It isn't the what next. It's not the planning. It's not the doing. It's not the accomplishing, achieving. It's not that. It's the fluid flow. It's the, I know that I'm connected to life force itself. Feminine is life force itself. And so one of the best things to do is come into the body, use the breath, use movement to open up and to start to connect in with big mama energy, right? Gaia, earth wisdom, opening up the channel. And so dance is one of the quickest practices to drop us out of logical left brain thinking, masculine doing, into breathing, opening, feeling. And so dance, music, candlelight, put on the candles or complete darkness and just feel, move. Even if you're not a dancer, just to breathe, to move, to start. How does my body want to move? Does it just want to stretch? Does it want to, do I just want a belly breaths, right? So starting to just come into the body. Does that, do you see how good this gets?
Yes, that's it. That's why your workshops are so great, Sabrina.
And the other thing, Kerrie, just to go off of that, is women have the most profound ability to come into circle together. And when one woman opens the door and connects into that big, fluid, connected space, it's that much easier for another woman to come through that door. So it's also sometimes just finding a circle of women, connecting with women who are in this space of openness, because we're still living in a patriarchal world. So the majority of energy that's coming at us is very rigid, is very masculine. But when we can come in, and women are receptive, right? We've come in, we're receptive, we're empathic. And so when we can come into these spaces of women who are in this openness, it's that much easier for us to feel that energy, and that much easier for other women to open to that. So that's probably my next thing, is to find other women. So we're not just on our own. We're not on our own in our house at night by ourselves, like trying to dance ourselves open.
Yeah, and your Rewilding for Women Facebook group is exactly that.
We try so hard, Kerrie. We try so hard to energetically open that sisterhood space for women to feel what it feels like to be open-hearted, to be connected, to start to open up to the divine feminine within. So, and that's free. That's free. That's just our a space for anybody. So if women are like, okay, great that you're saying, Sabrina, wonderful to find a tribe in this sacred circle of sisters, where do I go? It's at least a step, and it's It's open to any woman who kind of feels the call.
Yeah, and you know, I would say to people, yeah, come on over, come hang out, because it is the kind of thing that what you're trying to achieve. No, Sabrina, that the energy comes across. You know, it is felt. It is that kind of thing of, you know, just people. I'm sure, I know, I feel safe in there. You know, like in sharing and supportive. So what you're talking about, helping other women open up and come into that energy, is you're achieving it. And the beautiful thing is, one of the things that I see is that we have a responsibility almost, if we are conscious, to come into our divine feminine, because essentially it's bringing that energy into the world.
Yeah. That
will help achieve collective consciousness evolution and lead us to world peace. So we have that responsibility to open up and bring the divine feminine and express it in the world more, because there's not enough of it.
You're giving me chills everywhere, Kerrie. Yeah. That, and to me, whenever the whole body goes off with chills, that's a truth. That's a deep truth. That's bigger wisdom coming through. Yeah. So
tell us about you a little bit. Tell us about how did you come to discover your spirituality and your divine feminine? Tell us a little bit about you.
Wow. Okay. I'll try to give the shortened version. So as I kind of shared a little bit, I was very much in a masculine space. I grew up in a way. I was a science major, Kerrie. I was a microbiology, chemistry major in college. I was going to go to medical school. I was captain of the rugby team. I was president of the microbiology club, right? I was in these very masculine spaces. After graduating, I went into corporate, and I was climbing the corporate ladder, and I was making tons of money. Everyone was telling me that I was living a great life, and I should be fulfilled, and I should be satisfied, and I should be loving my life. I was married. I had everything. I had the house, the boat, the dog, the cars, the vacation homes, the big fancy job. I had all of this stuff, and society was saying to me, this is it. You've done it. Like, be happy. I was miserable. Kerrie, I was miserable. My relationship, I didn't feel met in my relationship. I wasn't connecting in a way that I knew that I could connect with a man or with a partner. Sex, like, we can even talk about that. Like, I wasn't sexually open, and I knew there was more. I didn't know what, but I just knew that there was more. So I did what Sabrina would do, and I gave it all away. I left the relationship, left the marriage, got rid of the boat, the house, the cars, the job. I kept the dog, and I moved to the woods. I moved to this little tiny cottage on a lake in the middle of Wisconsin, in the middle of nowhere, by myself, and I lived there for 2 years. And that was the start of my rewilding. So that was the start of peeling off the society layers and what I was told would make me happy. And that's when the weird stuff started to happen. Yeah. So I went to the woods. I was living in the woods. Strange things started to unfold. I would think I was going to some sort of a business-ish meeting because I really wanted to start my own company. I didn't know what. I was really into health and fitness and wellness at the time. So I would think I was going to a business meeting, and I would end up in like a Hawaiian Ho'oponopono ceremony because I wasn't seeking spirituality. I was seeking something. I didn't know what, but it was finding me. And then I ended up in a Native American sweat lodge thinking I was going to a business thing. And I'm in this sweat lodge for like 4 hours having the most profound visions and openings and awakenings, and but just all of the other realms started to open up. I had no concept of what was happening for me. This was probably one of the bigger awakenings. It was the big one. Was I was at a conference. Is this story getting too long? Are we still okay?
No, go with it.
I'll try to speed it up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was at a conference listening to different authors speak, different developmental. It was a Hay House conference, so you know Hay House authors. There was a lull, and there was this shamanic woman, and I was still so in my science brain, so skeptical of everything that I'm thinking, shaman? What is this crap? So skeptical. I was like, oh, I'll just sit on this talk because I have nothing else to do, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Sabrina, you silly woman. So I'm sitting in this lecture, and she's talking, and I can feel my whole body is just going wild. Like I'm buzzing everywhere, and I feel like I'm floating off of my chair. I don't understand what's happening. I've never experienced this in my life. Lecture ends, and I think I'm going to go outside and try to get a little bit more grounded here. I'm eating meat, Kerrie. I'm hugging a tree, thinking this will get my feet back on the ground. Nothing's changing. I'm still like buzzing electrically. So I decide I need to find this shaman woman. I don't know why, but something's wrong with me. I'm having problems now. I walk in, and she's doing a book signing. Oh, perfect. Yeah. I'm still skeptical, despite what's going on. I'm still skeptical and angry. So I'm angry that I have to buy her book. I don't want to read a shaman book. So I buy this book. I know I'm in the line. And as I'm getting closer to this woman, I'm physically shaking. And I get up to her, and there's tears streaming down my eyes. I don't feel emotional. I have no idea. I have no concept of what's happening. And I just get up to her, and I was like, something's wrong with me. That's all I can say to her. She grabs the book, and she sets my book down, and she goes, oh, let me just feel into you. Now these are things that don't make any sense to me at the time. And she says, oh, I know what's happening. Can I bring this in for you? Lady, I don't know what you're talking about, but can you just fix me? I'm vibrating out of control here. Yeah. Just whatever, I don't care, just fix me. And the next thing I see her look at the book line, and she says to everybody, you're going to want to watch this. This is going to be interesting. Now I'm getting nervous. She then says to a couple of her helpers who were helping out with the book sales and who were just standing in line with her, oh, can you please go stand behind her? Yeah. What? So I've got 3 people standing behind me, this whole book line staring at me. The shaman woman is making some strange sound with her hands above my head. And the last conscious thought I have, Kerrie, is, Sabrina, please do not make an ass out of yourself. That's the last thought I have. Yeah. The next thing I know, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm having a full-on convulsion. Like my body's doing all kinds of wild things, and it feels to me like a lightning bolt coming in through the top of my head, right? Like it was the most excruciatingly painful but yet blissful thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And and I have really no conscious thought, but I do remember shaking and screaming as this lightning bolt kind of skated its way down my body. And the shaman woman, I think, is still making sounds. I'm not really sure. And then this thing shoots out my feet into the ground. And I fall over. Well, that's what the 3 people were there for, to catch me. I fall over. And now my next conscious thought is, have I peed in my pants? Kerrie, I'm not exaggerating this. I'm lying on the ground now. There's drool coming out of my mouth. And my next thought is, have I peed my pants? No, I didn't pee my pants. Okay, that's good. Shaman leaves me. She's gone. She's back to the book line. So I'm left in this heap of messiness on the floor, still shaking. And the woman behind me is like, oh, do you know what just happened? No? All I know is that I'm drooling on myself. I have just screamed and convulsed uncontrollably in front of a whole slew of people. And she says, that was so beautiful. That was an initiation. And I'm looking at her completely clueless, Kerrie. And she's like, do you know what an initiation is? No. Not a clue. Not a clue. That was the start of it. That was kind of the start of my openings. A couple more of those happened randomly with random shamanic people. One Aboriginal woman in Australia, 2 other shamans, just randomly that would happen. And then, so to me, that's very much a top-down kind of energetic awakening or opening. And to me, that's a very masculine, very Shiva kind of spiritual awakening. So fast forward a couple years after that, it came bottom up.
Yep.
And so that was a very different opening. That's more of like a snake-like, blissful, joyful, orgasmic opening and awakening. And so that, to me, energetically, is the divine feminine. So this top down like that is very much the divine masculine. And then this snaky bottom up dance to go and reach this, right? They unite. That's the whole thing, is the divine feminine opening. Shakti, Shiva and Shakti, if you want to look at it from a tantric perspective.
And so just on that, so just when the masculine and the feminine come in and start to do that beautiful dance.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you know that the magic and the manifesting all starts to happen. And I do have to say that I don't think that there's enough knowledge about that out there in the world yet.
Yes. So true.
But when it does, because I know for me personally that's all very relevant. One of the things that occurs, and I want to share this with people, is you almost come into a place of, okay, I know this is happening and I know it feels damn great, but I don't know who I am anymore. You know, it's one of those things that you change, you can feel yourself changing so much because of it.
Absolutely.
But then it's like who you were before. You've got no grounding, no sense of that. So, and I'm probably going to assume that you've been through that process, right?
Yeah.
So, and it would be very common for people that are practicing rewilding. I would, you know, when they come into that dance,
absolutely,
that they sort of then start going, okay, I don't really know who I am anymore because it's changed so much, and I know that I'm rebirthing in that way, and it's all new. But that's scary, you know, and it is unsettling, but it takes a while. So, what would you say to people that are, again, watching and listening to us, if they're in that space? What would you say to them about how to move through that and how to?
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm so glad you're bringing that up. I agree with you that there's not enough information out there. And also that some of the information out there isn't, I don't know how to put this, but it's false. And it comes from this fear-based place. And I want to dispel those myths, and to settle the fears around that. Of course, of course, when we're making any change in our life, it rises. Fear comes up with us, even if it's a change, a very physical change. You're leaving your job. That's really tangible and physical. There's a fear. It's change. Mm-hmm. It's transformation. So of course there's a fear in it. And with this is this is like a rewiring of the whole body. And I think the way that you talked about it was beautiful. It's a rewiring. We're opening up to more of our fullness. It will shift our physiological beings, right? We watch illnesses get healed, disease get healed within a body on a physical level because we're working in this deep way. But it also comes in, it's rewiring our energetic system. So our chakra system gets rewired, which affects emotions. So when the heart chakra is starting to open or be rewired, we're gonna have emotions that come up and turmoil and chaos. It can be chaotic. And I think the difference in rewilding, in my awakening, there was so much love for the process. And to come from this place of love for the transformation, love for the opening, and this real understanding of it's perfect. It can't be anything other than perfect. And it comes in a divine timing. There is a divine timing to this. There is a divine wisdom to this and a grace to this that is far beyond the logical mind. So when the fear sets in, that's small mind, right? That's small mind. That's the part, and to bless that part as well, right? Our ego serves a great purpose for us in this life. So it's not about bashing the ego or trying to, to transcend the ego. It's about that whole part of self is being rewired too. And there's a bit of a death to it. Death is scary. So there's a death to the old self in order for the rebirth. But when we can hold this space of, instead of looking at death as this terrible, horrible ending, it's a cyclical. And that's part of the feminine as well, is death, rebirth, death, rebirth. It's this cyclical nature, and to love the transformation. So when we come from a place of love versus fear, everything shifts. Like, it's bring on the chaos. The more chaotic things are, the more I'm awakening, the more I'm aligning with my authentic self, my soul's purpose, my essence. Right?
Yes, like, because when you were talking about you love the transformation, you love the purpose, it was my turn to get goosebumps. It was that
beautiful.
That's it, exactly, because that sense of love is the divine feminine. It's
yes. And the divine feminine loves life itself. The divine feminine doesn't want to transcend life itself. The divine feminine wants to be here in this physical world, wants the interactions with others, wants to interact with life itself. And the chaos wants the full plethora of emotional expression. So the grief, the rage, the wildness, the joy, the bliss, the everything. And we come to this place of, it's all just energetic expression, regardless if it's tears. I know some of my most soul crushing, grief filled moments are also my most alive moments. Like, I remember after a breakup with a partner a few years ago, I was on the kitchen floor sobbing, like that like snot coming out of your nose kind of sobbing. But in that moment, it was, I am so alive, and there is so much love running through me and so much life running through me, despite the fact that I'm in absolute grief on my kitchen floor. And that's that's a place to come to on this journey of opening up to the feminine. It's not an instant overnight place to be at, but it's a place you come to where it's all welcome, and it's all love, it's all energy, it's all just life force itself. And it's going to change in 5 minutes anyway. It's because that's part of the feminine, right? Wait around 5 minutes and I'll be laughing like a crazy woman
Yeah.
because I'm just now in joy and bliss and I can't even remember what the heck I was crying about 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So I
That's
could
life,
just,
right?
yeah, exactly. And I could talk to you about this all day, Sabrina. But just tell us a little bit about what's coming up for you and what's coming up in regards to rewilding. How can people get in touch with you? How can they, experience more of the rewilding sensations?
Yeah, beautiful. Things change in my world really quick, as you can probably imagine, especially working with the divine feminine. There's an
Yes.
honoring of how that energy flows and moves and shifts and changes. So it's always, so it's wild, beautifully wild. But probably the best thing to share is what we chatted about, Kerrie, is that Facebook group. So for women who are interested in feeling more into rewilding, in opening up to their divine feminine or even their divine masculine, just opening, is that private Facebook group. So if women go to our website, rewildingforwomen.com, you'll see right in the top, it'll say free FB group. And that's how you can come and join this kind of sacred space where we hold that essence of opening. And then there's also an event page on there. So for women who are listening and they're like, whoa, I'm ready. I want to dive in. I want more. Check out the event page. We do online at-home retreats. That's kind of a new exciting offer, is to be able to do a rewilding retreat from anywhere. And then we also have live workshops, live retreats, where the big stuff happens. That's the big stuff. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I just, as I said, like it's important work and it needs to be shared and out there, and it's part of the evolution that we're all going through. So I have one last question for you,
Yes.
and this is a question that I ask all of my guests, basically.
Uh-oh.
So how are you, Sabrina Lynn, going to achieve a joygasm this week?
Oh my gosh, how am I going to achieve a joygasm this week? I think I'm already in one, Kerrie.
You're always in one.
Right. So as soon as we start to like open to these energies, for me, joygasms are this, right? Is sharing this energy, opening to this energy. To me, I dance every day. That brings me into my joy, into my bliss. I live out in nature, so I'm out in the woods every day, connecting in, and to me that's just bliss and joy and
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kerrie. It was such a pleasure and such an honor to have this chat with you and to hear what you shared as well, and the goosebumps.
Yeah,
it's always good when somebody gives those.
No, it's been great, and you're right. It has been joygasmic for me too, having you here. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.